Happy 4th of July. I have no idea how many are going to be here. I didn't even realize when I set this day up. I did it like it's going to be Thursday. I didn't look at like it's going to be Thursday, the 4th of July. But anyway, it's a fun project. And if you can't watch it during the time that we're on air, you can watch it afterwards and follow me that way. Um, that's always kind of fun. I got all three of you in the chat right now or showing up. Let's see. I don't know what it's like where you are on the 4th of July, but where I am, it's very warm. And I played with this a little bit more this morning. For those of you who don't remember where we were when last we met, this was, well, I'm going to show you first of all. This is what we're making. We're taking this form, love and light to everyone. We're, yeah, it's very hot. It's going to be 100 degrees here today. Although it was blessedly lovely this morning. It was in the mid 80s, which is kind of a break for us. So this is what we're going to be making, and it's called Originality. And what I've got so far, when I cut to the other camera, because it's underneath it. Okay. This is my pad for documenting whatever we choose to do. And this is what it looks like. And what this is on is this is a clear pie plate. And that's the form. That's a piece of paper underneath it that I'm just using to keep track of the form to help me come up with the form. And this is also Originality on the original card. And the center, for the center, we picked Yellow Adventuring, and which is something to bring abundance and good luck. And this is a chevron amethyst. And for those of you who don't know what a chevron amethyst is, it's an amethyst with a lot of light purple running through it. And that one just fits perfectly on there. And when I put this grid together, that will be glued to the Yellow Adventuring. And then the little dots, we finally decided, after looking at it 3 different ways last time, we came up with Apatite. It's Apatite. It's a really pretty little stone. You find a lot of apatite chips. And then I'd put this kind of blue chalcedony or blue agate around it. But then I had some second, this is actually supposed to be green. It's green. And so I was going to look at it again because I came up with this, which is green calcite. And it's a much more green. So I'm going to take these guys off. And you do this a lot when you're building a grid. You look at the colors, you look at what it means, and I think green apatite, a green calcite, is a much stronger stone to put on here. Those two aren't close enough that they're going to get really mixed up together. So I'm going to try to pick up about 6 that are kind of the same size, just because it makes it easier when you have to put it all together. That's clear calcite. I have no idea how it ended up in the green calcite, but green, and I need one more chunky sort of green. Maybe it's green. Okay, so I'm going to put these around because I can. And they're going to make the green ring you can see here. And I just lost one, so I'll have to go find it later. But 1, 2, 3. You know, one time I was just doing regular readings and I just swept my floor and I sent someone the bag of stones that was on my floor. You guys have no idea how many stones end up on my floor. I think you're too big. I think you're the right size. Yes. So that makes it a little smaller, gives me more space towards the center. And part of having this on a plate like this is you can move the plate around instead of having to keep moving the stones if things get knocked around a little bit. So I think I'm going to scrap the thing and I'm going to make it I'm going to make it the green calcite. I like it better. And you do that too. When I build grids, a lot of times I'll put them all together and then I'll put them in a bag and just hold it with a list of where all the stones go, but they're all still loose. And I'll look at it later and I'll decide if that's really what I really, really, really wanted or not. And then I will change the stones. And I actually had one grid, I almost had it completely together. I mean, as far as I call this the rough draft. And then I looked at it and I went, nope, I do not want the rough draft that way. So now for those of you who want to know what's the vibration of the green calcite, it is green calcite. It's healing, anxiety, balance, and self-discovery. It's important for emotional recovery, the heart, and peace from anxiety. And it's also very helpful in psychic development. And I realize it's really, really light and it's hard for you guys to see, but when I put it on the final paper we're going to do this on, and I'm going to be doing it on some sort of a bluish white background, not a white background, because some of the stones would get lost in the white background. So now we're in to the blues that go around. There's the green circle that we just created. There's the little inner flowers that are there. We're looking for the blues. Now I have a couple different thoughts about doing this blue ring that you can see. I have some very, very interesting blues to work with. I have a stone called kyanite, and it's lovely. And it's a communication stone. And I keep my little tags that I get from the bags when I split them up and put them into other bags so that I know what I'm looking at. Kyanite's real easy though, because kyanite can be blue, it can be black, it can be several different colors. Mostly I've worked with blue and black. But it makes a lovely spread around there. And blue kyanite is communication and self-expression, and it promotes vocal strength. So since we're trying to go for originality, that sort of a vibe works with these. But I'm going to show you one other option I have. I have some blue adventuring that could also work. So we're going to do this. And yes, guys, this could go on forever. Couldn't it? I'm going to go look over and see. I'm getting much. Okay. I'm going to try and make it bigger for you to see. But I got to work with the cameras I have, and I got to work with the setup I have. That's kind of as large as I can get this, and let me try one more thing. That's large. That's as large as it's going to get. And I'll have to move things around when we get towards the bottom again. This is a kyanite, and it's, if you can see, it's all kinds of shapes. Now I need to make a ring of kyanite around it, or the kyanite needs to be in this outer ring. And then the other thing I was thinking, to bring some blue into it, and I know this may not look terribly blue to you, but to make this ring of color here, I was thinking about doing it with bloodstones, making sets of bloodstones, making 3, 3, 3, and I'll explain it to you, because there's like 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and then I'm going to put 2 faceted quartz in between, and I am But first I'm going to see if I want the kyanite or the blue adventurine, the other option I have out of the stones that I have currently with me to do this. And I have some other blue stones. They just don't look as good in the color scheme. Let's see. There are some smaller stones. There's some little stones you're going to see that are out here around the greens. I'm going to put those in later. And the reason I'm not putting them now is it just makes me nuts because I have to keep picking them up and putting them down. And they're teensy-tiny. These things are called rainbow moonstone. And they're tiny little, tiny, tiny crystals. And those are things I sort of save till the end. When you build your own thing, you can do it the way you want. But that makes me less crazy in having to put this all together. And last thing you want is a crazy Nancy Jean. Okay, 2 and 2, 3, 4. In case you're wondering, I'm pulling it off the plate that was next to this. 5. And let's see if that makes 6. And then I'll look at those. And like, I think he's too tiny. So I'm going to go back for a bigger piece. But guys, I work with all natural stones. So not all stones are not created equal. And I have to work with what I got. And I think maybe at the top. Nope, it's too big. I think this one's the right size. Okay. So with this, I began to create this blue. It's actually a blue square. There's going to be 2 interlocking squares. That's what's going to be here. And when I finish it, my accent stones, there'll be 8 of them out there. So it'll show it. Squares, when they show up in grids, are bases. We're building a new base. It's trying to build a new base with this thing. So that's my kyanite option. And then when I do these on my own, I take pictures in between. But I don't need to take a picture in between because I got the picture on here, right? Now, my other blue that I can pull out is chrysocolla. It's a Mexican stone. It's got a lot of copper in it, but it looks blue at the end of the day. But chrysocolla comes in an amazing variety of sizes, as you can tell. And what I'd like to have is a lot of medium-sized ones. And I'm about to dump off my kyanite because I need a plate to put the chrysocolla on so I can look at it. You're going to need some, I need it to visually work with it. You're going to need some sort of little white plates, and make sure they're white because, yeah, that's chrysocolla that comes out of the same mine as this one, in theory. Okay, let's see if I can find. I think I may go to kyanite because, 1, I'm sure I'm going to kyanite because the chrysocolla doesn't give me enough size variance for me to be able to make this look the way I want. And I hate clustering the same stones. Besides the fact it kind of looks a little messy. And it's hard to do. And it's hard to do and keep it balanced. And it can look balanced to you one day, and then you look at it the next day and you go, oh, that's not really balanced the way I want it to be. Can everybody hear me okay? Makes pretty blue powder. When you work with this stone, when you work with any of the stones that have a lot of copper in them, as soon as I'm finished with this, I will go wash my hands really, really well because I don't want to forget I was dealing with copper, which will poison you, and then go stick my fingers in my mouth and wonder, why did I feel sick that night? And in case you're wondering, yes, that has happened. I also have some blue calcite, which is real pretty, but it's just real big. as you can see from the stones. And I don't know how to cut stones up. I know I could go get a hammer and try to beat them up, but I don't. I work with the stones I can find, and I figure the universe leads me where it wants me to go. So in this case, hi Gigi. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna put out this blue adventurine. I'm gonna put it on a plate, and I think I'm gonna use it differently. Now it may look kind of green because you've been looking at things that are so blue, but trust me, well, it looks blue on my screen. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so if you look at the shapes that are here, I think I'm going to go back and put on my my blue kyanites. And they may not be all exactly the same ones, but trust me, this thing will change. It will morph as the day moves on, let me tell you. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Okay. And then if you look at this, there's going to be some little highlight gems, and that will be class 3 when we get to highlight gems, because I'm going to have these sort of stuck down where they're supposed to be before I can put the highlight gems on. Then there's points that go out, and then our originality goes into the universe. So what I was thinking about, since you go along in there, this is the blue adventurine I have, and it already has points. So and I'm going to put one more off of each kyanite. That does work. That's 12. Okay. That's good. Okay. I really like that because I think it gives you that sunbursty feel that you have here. Now, that's really the basis of this. Now, I'm going to clear up for a second here. If anybody has a question you want to ask me, now would be the time, because I'm actually distracted by putting stones away. And like I said, when we do the actual construction day, I lose my bags too. That happens on a frequent basis around here. You would think, how can you lose a whole big bag like that? But it's easy. These were other blues that I had a choice about working with, or greens. These are moss agates and something else, and I'll check it out. And they look very, very green. They look like a very navy, like a Kelly green when you see them. What I do with stones like this that somehow or another wander from the bag they should be in and end up in another bag, I have an app on my phone, and it's called Rock Identifier. And I can take a picture of a stone that I find and submit it, and it will tell me, it'll give me 3 options, and I usually can figure out from looking at it which option is the correct one. That's it. That's it. Well, oh, here it is. Of course, it's under a piece of paper, where everything else is on my desk, by the way, under a piece of paper somewhere. I'm going to get rid of these. And the reason I kind of try to clean up in between each one, two very good reasons. One is I have like no room on this desk. This is a regular pie plate, and you see how much it takes on my desk. So, and the green aventurine is a wonderful stone. I had it on my very first grid I ever built for myself because green aventurine is healing, good luck, and calms the soul. And then it has a whole lot of attached things it helps: abundance, attracting new friends, emotional recovery, energy, health, heart, money, peace from anxiety, and protection. So that's a great stone. That's why I have such a big bag of it. It's just incredibly functional when you need to use a green somewhere. Let's turn these stone things off. Okay. So what the next thing I kind of have to decide is these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those 7 stones, I want them to imitate the look of this stone, but I'm not going to use, I am going to use maybe yellow aventurine. I have a couple choices. And I think I have some choices in this color range that's lots of fun. This is one of my favorite stones. And it's also a calcite. And that's honey calcite. And the way I could make that look like this is, where did I do with my, my bloodstones that I showed you. I've got 2 choices. I can either put, what I'll do is I'll make it just like I made that stone for that look. I can put apatite, which I have around it. I can, let's see, and the other one I have, oh, here it is. Things hide from me. I can take this set of stones, and no matter which stone I pick, this is what I'm going to use. This is called bloodstone. These are bloodstone chips, and what I'll do is I will glue it on. I'll pick the stones I want to use, and I'll glue it on. And as you can see, if that's out in the outer range, it looks like an imitation of that. And they're perfect size for that with what's on the drawing. And the number 7 is spiritual growth. And this is one of the few grids I have that uses a 7 like that. I have one called Change that takes 5 stones and splits them out across the range of the grid. But the bloodstone is a really powerful stone. It's a beautiful stone when you see it as chips. It's not bad, but as a big stone, it's really beautiful. The grid that I made that Danny Shea has bloodstone in it, and he hadn't taken it out in the sun. He finally took it out in the sun to kind of clear it out, and he began to realize what a gorgeous stone. It's called a bloodstone because it looks blue or green in the center, but there's red in it too. And as you can see, if I stick the 2 of those together, how that imitates that look very much. That's one of my options, is the honey calcite, which I really, really, really like. I really like honey calcite. It is not that easy to find, at least not here in Texas, which, I don't know where you may be in a place like Sedona that has every stone in the universe. I'm not sure I'd want to pay Sedona prices for my stones, but the other option I have for those accent stones out there, this is an interesting stone. It's called a cobra jasper. And it's very, very golden. And I think with a dot in the middle, I'm going to have to hold this because it's not going to do it. With a dot of black in the middle, it would suit very much what I want those things to look like. But and I have in this bag, I have 7 stones that would do for the right size. I do believe they'd be slightly larger than the honey calcite. And the other one I have that's available, that's a yellow, is yellow adventurine, a tumbled yellow adventurine. And now, mind you, crystal wise, this adventurine on a plate is the same as that. Now, they may be slightly different color because it depends on the level of mineralization. But, and I have a whole bag of these, and I know I have enough to make the stones I would need to do this. And I'll show you one with the little bloodstone dot in the middle. They really don't want to stick now. Okay. Honey calcite's a rougher surface, so they stick better on that. But those would be out and making the little flowers. The others look like flowers. They're just spin-off. The way I look at it, they're spin-off pollen or seeds. That's tumbled adventurine. That's the kind of bags I buy in me. And I think after looking at them now, I think it's going to be honey calcite. That's what it's going to be. And next time we meet, when I have to put stones together, I'll put them together for you and show you how you do that. I use an epoxy. Thank you, Lori. I agree. Visually, I like the honey calcite over the adventurine. Looks a little rougher, looks a little more difficult. And then, okay, now, then I see these things create these points that I see that are out here. And then I'm not sure that it needs much more than that. I just have to decide what background color to use. And I'm not going to bore you with it, but I have a giant stash of construction paper. And I'm going to go back to me on the camera. Does anybody have any questions about what my thought process is? And any suggestions? I know I'm kind of throwing a lot of stuff at you, but what I'm going to do, are the 5 points similar? They can be, but are the 4 points? This is the question I'm answering. Show. Are the 4 points similar to the 4 points Wins Foundation? Yes, Roni, it's 4 when I see, and when you carefully look at this, it's actually 8. Oh, wrong camera. 8 points that are coming off of this. But the way I see it, when I look at it, it's a 4 and a 4. It's like a 4-sided thing and another 4 put on top of it. They're separate. They're discrete. I don't know if I can get that picture clear enough for you to see that. And then I really don't try to see the little roundy part that's green. That's easy to do when you have a paintbrush. That's very difficult to do when you have stones. So I'm not sure I'll be able to create that look for this. But you can kind of see what, like we saw between the yellow adventurine and the honey calcite. All of them have different colors. They all have different strengths. You have to put together what you believe is strong for you and what you believe will help you get the look you want. I've I've actually had things that were supposed to be a green or a blue, but I had a stone that there's a lot of stones are between the green and the blue. And I went to one that maybe in the books is not a green, but it's a blue now on somebody's on their grid. And then when I get I'll have the honey calcites ready. I'll have my little dots that you can see. There's little bright lights. You see the really bright ones? Those are going to be faceted quartz, and I have that, but it's one of those things I'm not going to put it down today because I know what it's going to be, and I usually wait to put those things down at the very end. Among other things is they're not very big, and they tend to get lost, and I hate losing them. I mean, I always figure if a crystal doesn't make it on a grid, it's because it's not supposed to be there. Its energy didn't want to be there, and I'm not going to pick on it for that. But let's see, if all the angles have certain frequencies, then does all the shapes affect the frequency of DNA of the crystals in use? Yeah, well, I can put crystals down and realize they don't want to be on this grid together. Whatever's going on with them, um, they don't want to be there together. They may have one thing I'll tell you is a lot of real rounded stones, the tumbled stones, they don't like being with the sharp angled stones. And in this uh, grid, the ones that have the sharper angles are the kyanites, these, because they are just a rough stone. That's how they come out. But kyanites, I have kyanites like this. I have some bigger kyanites that are in black that I'll use in a grid to push energy around. I'll use a lot of quartz points, and I have 2 giant bags of clear quartz points, and I will use them to, if they're pointing them into the center of the grid, it means I want the energy that we've created with the outer stones to empower the center of the grid and to bring that energy up. If they're moving out of the grid, it means the energy that the grid's generating, it's moving them out. And you just kind of learn to feel that. Um, this this frame that I have right here, this will fit in an 8x8 frame you can buy at any framing store if you want to frame it. But that's the dimensions that's why I use, the other reason I use this is because then I can tell it's all going to fit. As you can see, it moves around pretty easily. And there was another question back in the questions. Let me get back to my questions. And I saw it. There's one about what are the reasons and uses for a grid? Please. Okay. Grids are like little power energy centers, and they generate power. And when I do a reading with you, we come up with the best grid for you. Pick it out of that pack of cards I showed. If you weren't here, Crystal Kelly, I use Lon's activation stacks. She's got 2 of them. This one happened to come from relationships. There's another one for activations. And each of those activations has an energy or frequency with it. And that's what we're building it for. And this grid, this is what all grids are really for. It becomes a personal energy center for you to focus in on. When this one's put together, I'll show you how we fire it up. And you can, it like creates like a little energy thing for you to tie to, another thing to help you focus your energy. And each person's different, but that's how I train them to go out. When I send it with probably one of the world's worst graphics, because I am not a graphic person, but it's how to fire up a grid, how to start at the center and build the energy out into all the stones and to connect them together. And trust me, I really like that. Yeah, you're right. You can meditate with it. You can put it in your personal uh, the place where you whatever kind of personal altar you have in your home. Um, and Dale's right. They're sort of like personal organ generators. And when I was building lots and lots of them, I have all kinds of stories that came back from people who were stuck on an idea, and after we did the reading, we realized this was to help them generate that reading, and a lot of people felt their personal energy change when they were dealing with this. And I'm looking to check and see. And one of the things when I teach the whole course on how to really get into building a grid, it'll you'll have I'll actually have paperwork for you to look at and stuff. But it's there's a lot of numerology involved in grids because like one is the originating point. And even though there's two crystals in it, I count that as one. And then you see around it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I only have 6, so I have to go put 8 in there. Mess that up. But I go back and I check over all the pieces and I make sure that you have all the numbers, and then I tell you what 1 means, what 8 means, what 7 means, what 6 means, and this is 1, 2, 3, lots of 8s in there, and 8s are money and power and growth, and that's what you want to have when you're dealing with things for originality. And everybody's grid is their own journeys, and so yours would be too, or anyone you would build. The first grid I ever built was for my own family and friends, and it was put up there. I read about them, and then I read some books on how to build grids, and then I started studying the numerology, and I started studying. It took me. I saw my first grid in Colorado in October of 2017, and I just couldn't quit reading about it. And it wasn't just the numbers. It was I have the original notebooks where I have what all the different stones meant. I would go look them up and see what they meant. And you'll find if you study color, there's a lot about stones that match the color too. Did I tell you? Honey calcite is right use of power to overcome obstacles, and it's to attract friends and to keep you strong while you're doing that. That's what honey calcite is like. And yellow adventurines balance, protection, and enhanced flow. So I'd rather have the enhanced flow and the balanced energy in the center, and then send those other things out that are out there beating up, going against the obstacles and helping you get past that. That makes great sense with it. And yeah, Kelly, I don't know what sort of craft stores you have near you, or whether you'd rather deal with a small store or a big store, but um, I have a Michael's just down the road, and they have some really good, easy to work with frames, and I affix my stones to in the frame, because obviously when I send them out, when I built my first grid, I didn't affix the stones. I still have it here. They're still not affixed because I have it with me and I can rebuild it whenever I want. I've had people say, I don't want the stones affixed. And inevitably, when I send it to them, they end up calling me up, even though they have a picture and every stone is labeled. They can't figure out, I don't know why they can't figure out how to put it together. But I'm an old puzzler. I used to do 1,000-piece puzzles. So maybe that's why I'm better at it. But that's kind of where I go from here. So in a week, we will have, hopefully, the last class for this, because I will have most of the big stones affixed. It'll be in a picture frame, And all you get, we'll go over how the stones worked and how I put in the small stones. So I put in and I used to have a thing about not using stones that had been, I didn't mind if they were tumbled, but I didn't like them in shapes. And then I found a marvelous selection of crescent moon stones and some stones that sort of look like little apostrophes. They look like little comets. And I will use those because those work into some grids so much better than the rough stones. So unless somebody else is just has a question they can't live without having answered before they go look at the fireworks, I'm out of here. And I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Bye.